Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Informed American Podcast. I'm your host, Shelley Meyer. Today, we are continuing our deep dive into Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. In this series, I'm breaking down each section of the bill piece by piece in plain language. I've read through all 1,000 pages, so you don't have to. And I'm here to give you a clear, understandable summary of what's really inside this bill. In this episode, we'll be talking about Section 10002, which focuses on the work requirements for able-bodied adults without dependents, or ABA-WDs, under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. This is the food assistance program many Americans rely on. Trump's bill here could have a big impact for millions of people who use SNAP. So let's break down what this section of the bill is and how it affects Americans. The expanded age range and who is affected. First up, let's talk about the age range for ABA-WDs. Under the current system, adults between the ages of 18 and 49 are typically subject to work requirements if they want to receive SNAP benefits. These requirements include either working a certain number of hours or participating in a job training program. Now, Trump's aim is to expand this age range. When these changes go into effect, adults aged 50 to 46 would also need to meet these work requirements to continue receiving SNAP. That means potentially millions of additional people could be affected. People who may be between jobs, caregiving, or otherwise struggling to meet these new demands. Some of these people might even be disabled or retired. Now, we're going to talk about expanding work requirements and how much work is enough. Let's talk about the work requirements. Under the current system, able-bodied adults without dependents can only receive SNAP benefits for 3 months in a 3-year period unless they meet specific job requirements. These requirements including at least 80 hours per month or participating in a qualifying work program. Trump's changes would not only make it harder to get exemptions from these rules, but it would also raise the employment requirements in some cases. For many, meeting these new work standards could prove difficult, especially in areas with fewer job opportunities or where low-wage jobs don't provide enough hours to meet the threshold. So what does this mean in practice? It's possible the more people could be cut off from food assistance if they're unable to meet these more stringent requirements. And that could have serious consequences for individuals and families who rely on SNAP for support. Next, we move on to reduced child exemptions. What about parents? Currently, parents of children under 18 are exempt from the ABA-WD work requirements. That means if you're a parent with a young child, you don't have to meet the job criteria to keep receiving SNAP benefits. But here's where Trump's plans shake things up. Under this plan, the exemption would only apply to parents whose children are under the age of 7. Parents with school-aged children, kids over 7, would now be required to meet work requirements if they want to continue receiving SNAP benefits. This change could impact many parents who are already struggling to balance work, children, and other responsibilities. The question here is, will these new work requirements help parents become more self-sufficient, or will they add additional stress to already vulnerable families? I'm guessing the latter. What is the potential impact? So, what's the bottom line? Well, Trump's changes could result in a sharp drop in the number of people receiving SNAP assistance. Supporters argue that by imposing stricter work requirements, the system will encourage more self-sufficiency and reduce on government aid. But critics of this bill warn that these changes could disproportionately affect vulnerable populations, like the elderly, disabled, or single parents, and could lead to a more food insecurity in communities that are already struggling. The real question is, will these policies truly help people get back to work and improve their financial situations, or will they only push more people further into poverty and hunger? Again, I'm going with the latter. So what's next? It's really important to remember that these are proposals. Not so much anymore. This decision was finalized on July 3rd. The USDA and other agencies reviewed these suggestions and any change to SNAP will go through the appropriate legislative and regulatory processes, as it did on January 3rd. There is no longer time for the public, policymakers, and advocacy groups to weigh in and make their voices heard. They did, but the House and the Senate didn't listen because this bill passed. As always, it's crucial to stay informed about what's happening with this bill, even now that it's passed in the House and Trump has signed the bill. These decisions made now will affect millions of Americans who rely on these programs to survive. Thankfully, I think, with the midterms coming up, this could destroy Republicans. That's all for today's breakdown of Section 10002 from Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. I hope this helped clarify what's at stake with these changes to SNAP work requirements. Stay tuned for next week's episode, where we'll dive into Section 10003 of the bill and continue to break down in plain language. Thanks for joining me, and as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and take care.